everyone, and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show, where I try to help you spend your wine dollars wisely. And one way you can spend your wine dollars wisely, I always move the bottles in these episodes. What's up with that? One of my signatures on my show, always moving the bottles. Have you noticed that? Make a comment. Do I always move the bottles in every episode? That'll tell me whether you're watching or not. I want to thank the 51 subscribers. It's taken me 246 episodes to get 51 subscribers. That means I'm not doing my job. I need to work harder at getting my videos out there and recognized and having people watch them. I hope you're enjoying these episodes. I hope you're learning something. I know in the last episode, a couple episodes ago, when I did the North or Southern Rhone wines, talked about decanting. Hopefully I can encourage you when you're doing younger, bigger style wines like Barolos, Barbarescos, Montepulciano, Vino Nobile di Montepulciano, you know, just those styles of wine, Chateauneuf de Pape, big boys like that are young. Hopefully you decant them. Kind of got tied up. All right. Totally lost my thought there. So we're going to do Tempranillo. Why do Tempranillo? Well, first of all, you can get really good values on Tempranillo. I also got a sample of one from Paso Robles that I'm very curious about, and I thought, well, why don't we compare it to one from southern Spain, one from Rioja in northern Spain, and then from Paso Robles. I thought that would be kind of fun. Hopefully you find it to be fun. And Tempranillo, Rioja, can be, you know, very reasonably priced. And if you're starting a cellar, I would encourage you to look for Rioja Reservas that are highly recommended, and put those away in the cellar if you want to see something really improve with age. Riojas, especially the Reservas, or Grand Reservas, really do well in the cellar if you're thinking about starting a little cellar. I think that's the way to go. You know, do Riojas, do Pinot Noirs, Burgundies. I mean, Burgundies can be expensive. Some Pinots from Oregon, do some Cabs. You know, just different wines that need a little bit of aging. Brunellos are always fun. Barbarescos are always fun. Barolos. Those are all fun wines to age. Amarone. But anyway, Rioja, it can be very inexpensive way to collect wine. And they're also great hot dog, pizza, burger wines. And, you know, the weather's still nice. I'm going to go out golfing today. It's a beautiful day, so a little bit later. So the first one we're going to do is Manon from Mano a Mano. It is from Vino della Terra di Castilla, near La Mancha, down south of Madrid. And it's Manon Tempranillo. It rolls in at $9. Alright, give the glass a little bit of a rinse. The other night I watched the Monday Night Football game with the Jets and the Colts. The Jets are looking good. They're going to be a scary team, which is cool because that means they might give the Patriots a run for their money. I just hate the Patriots. Let's see what we get on the nose. A little bit of a meat marinade thing. A lot of dark currants going on with this one. This is a 2010. I don't think I said that. 2010. I think these are all 2010. A little bit of dusty minerals coming through. Let's see what we get on the palate. Kind of polished, nice, ripe currants for sure, all day. But then you get a little serious kind of mineral grip on the back end, and a little bit of black and white pepper, which is very curious. A lot of tobacco. I like that tobacco element. I actually like this one. It's got enough fruit to keep some of you New World palate guys happy. That you could actually drink this by itself, which I know a lot of you millennials out there, the younger folks in the 20s, 30s, like to drink wine by itself with their friends, crack a bottle. It's $9, which is really cool. Little meat marinade action going on. But what I like about this wine, it has a little freshness on the finish. I'm gonna go B- for $9. That's crazy good. Go find that one. You want just a nice little wine to have with burgers. If you're cooking some hot dogs, if you're having some pizza, perfect. Let's move on. 2010, Ramon Bilbao selection of 965 barrels Rioja. This rolls in at $16. They're getting now to where they put on Rioja. They put Rioja Alta, Rioja Baja, Rioja Alvesa. Those are the three different particular areas of Rioja. This one doesn't say that on there. This one was aged in oak for 14 months, left in the bottle for another 10 months, so 2 years total. $16. 84 points on Wine Searcher. Which is actually kind of a low score these days. Excuse me. Okay. Let's see what we get on the nose. By the way, I'm not really influenced by other people's scores. You know, a lot of that has to do with palate preference. You know, what the day was like, who's reviewing it, you know, that sort of thing. There's a lot that goes into a score, I guess. That's why I like to grade them. You know, with the score, nobody goes below 80 anymore. They don't publish that anymore, which kind of irritates me. Does that irritate you? Comment. Do you get irritated that some of these wine magazines and so forth only put the better wine scores out and don't tell you about the bad wines? Aren't we, as wine writers and reviewers, aren't we trying to protect the consumer's pocketbook? I mean, to a degree that's true. That's why the consumer reads you. So they splash all these big scores out there and never tell you about the bad ones. Well, that's good for the winery. I'm sure they don't like it. But I remember back in the day when you'd be reading The Spectator and it'd have 70s and 60s in there. And, you know, I mean, not that The Spectator is the Bible on wine tasting. By far, that's not true. I know some guys will actually buy lower scores from Parker because to them, that's the wines they're looking for. So you just have to know your reviewer. Hopefully you're getting to know my palate just a little bit and you understand where I go. That's very important if you're listening to a wine reviewer and you're going to buy the wines that they recommend. You have to understand where they're at. Where's their palate? I've said it many times, I feel like I have a retail palate because I have to sell wine to the consumer and they come back and tell me whether they liked it or didn't like it. And I take great pride in trying to understand my customers' palates and helping them find the right wine. And then I have a pick of the month that I work really hard to go what I call an 80 to 85% wine. In other words, I believe that 80 to 85% of the people that buy that wine are going to like it. So I've developed what you call a retail palate. And I find that to be an advantage for me versus maybe somebody who just reviews wines and doesn't have to sell them to anybody. They just review them. I think it gives me a little bit of an advantage. I know Gary Vaynerchuk, a guy that used to do a program before, retired from Wine Library TV, he also sold wine to people. And I think that helped him in his efforts to review wines. So anyway, let's see what we get on the palate, on the nose with this Rioja 100% Tempranillo. This a little got that kind of stinkiness that you get from old world wines. Get a little bit of perfumed tobacco and currants. Oh, there's an interesting nutmeg characteristic coming through. That's what I was getting. I was going, wow, what's that smell? Yeah, definitely nutmeg, which is really kind of cool. And you're saying, why would a wine have nutmeg in it? Well, it's from the oak. Oak treatment tends to give it those spicy characteristics. Let's see what we get on the palate. Nice nose. nice and smooth right up front. You get that big hit of currants and tobacco, a little bit of tar action coming through. Then it gets kind of minerally on the finish. You get that kind of crushed rock thing going on. But the only flaw I can see in this wine is the mid palate kind of disappears on you. There's a lot going on the mid palate. But nice, kind of disappears on the mid palate, but nice attack of dark fruit, tobacco, currants, ripe cherries on the finish with that minerality. So that helps kind of make up for the hollow mid palate, where it kind of weird, it kind of disappears. Interesting. I'm going to have to go C plus B minus on that one. I think that hollow mid palate affects it a little bit. I don't totally agree with an 84. I mean, I think it's a little bit better than that, but I don't give points, so I don't really have that criteria to go by. I think it's above average, but not at a B level. You know, I'd buy the Mano a Mano before I'd buy this wine for $16. Interesting. C plus B minus. Let's move on. Now we're going to Paso Robles, Casa de Arquila, Tempranillo, Paso Robles, 2010. This is $14. Do a little rinse. So, you know, normally you think of Tempranillo, you think of Portugal, you think of Spain. Probably one of the grapes that has the most synonyms of any grape. So if you see Tinta del Paz, that's Tempranillo. If you see Aragones, that's Tempranillo. If you see Tinto Ruiz, that's Tempranillo. The joke, like in the Psalm world, is if you don't know what grape it is, just guess Tempranillo, you're probably going to be right. Let's see what we get on the nose. I did. I just did a close-up on that. Whew. Interesting. A little challenge, a little like, first thing that came to my mind is a piece of slate with cherry juice is poured on it. It seems kind of closed. Yeah, I'm going to say there's not a lot going on with the nose. Let's see what we get on the palate. No hollow mid palate there. You know, interesting. It reminds me of dark cherries, ripe dark cherries marinated in currant juice. That's what it reminds me of. And then it gets this like serious grip on the finish, has a nice freshness, kind of surprises me. I didn't know what to expect from a Tempranillo from Paso Robles, but I'm kind of liking this one. I think a lot of you will like it out there too. Yeah, very polished, very smooth. Now, granted, you gotta be careful that you don't say, this, I like Rioja, so this better be like Rioja. Rioja is Rioja. It's northern Spain. It's got its own terroir. It's got its own style. It's old world. Now we're talking new world. So you got to be careful not to where you base your criteria on. You can't judge a wine by other wines. You have to judge it on its own merits. And I think this has a great wine in that it's very polished, but it has a serious kind of grip on the finish, but it's not so grippy that you can't handle it. Definitely a food wine, but you could drink this solo, just to let you know. And for $14, I think it's worth it. I'm going to go B plus on that Tempranillo. I think it's very good. I think it has a lot of things going on that make it a very interesting wine. Yeah, nice solid structure. You know, it's you know, it doesn't show a lot of alcohol, though I think it's, I read on it 14.1, which isn't terrible, especially from Paso Robles. Could be higher. You know, they have a little wiggle room, but it doesn't have that. Has a nice freshness on the finish. There's a lot of good things about that. I'm going to go B+. Thanks for watching. What was the question I asked? Anyway, make a comment on the question I asked in the middle. God, what was that? I'm losing it. See, that's when you have a cameraman, he can say, no, this is what you said. But make a comment on that question I asked in the middle. I'm very curious about your thoughts on that. I'm going to rewatch this to see what I asked. Losing it. Anyway, remember, wine is not a mystery. It is just fermented grape juice. Drink it. Enjoy it. Try new things. Always be willing to try new things. Don't get stuck in a rut. Expand your palate horizons, but never, ever let anybody tell you what you should or shouldn't like. And if you do that, together we can take the snob